Well, hello, I am Corvette Hop. Hey, keep those cars on the road. Today we're going to talk about a couple things. We're going to talk about a couple of videos we have on the channel, wheel alignment and some body mounts, and then we're going to do a demonstration of the Innovate 2 gauge in which we're going to adjust the fuel air mixture on this Corvette right behind me. With that, let's go ahead and get started. Hey, I did a video on wheel alignment, and a lot of people asked me that. How did you even figure out how to do that? And I would tell you it was a little bit of a challenge after looking at many videos and Corvette forums on how to actually do the real wheel alignment in your garage. Now, I will be the first to admit it is not perfect. In fact, after I did it and I took it to the shop for an alignment just to double check, I realized they had to add one shim on one side and one shim on the other side. However, when I drove it on the road, it was perfectly aligned with no movement of the steering wheel at all. So a little lesson learned. A good way to get it out of the garage, drive it a little bit until you get the time to take it to that shop for that professional alignment. Another video I did was body mounts. And hey, oh, by the way, this is your opportunity to get involved in the live chat. I will go ahead and make a little comment there. So if you would like to ask questions, please do so on the live chat. I also have some questions that people sent in, and we'll ask those too. So regarding the body mounts on one of the videos that I did, if you take your time and look on some of the videos on the channel, that video is also on there. That was a large challenge to me, and that involves jacking the body of the car, replace those body mounts, set it back down, and then move into the other side. Believe me, if that is something you want to do in your garage, it is very well in your capable hands. I did it. If I could do it, I think most people could do it. The only caution I would give, and I mentioned that in that body mount video also, is that at the time when you're lifting it up in the air, be careful. You don't want to get your hands stuck in between that in case the jack was to drop or something like that. So, smart thing to do, don't put your hands up in there. Try to do everything in the fast means and get those body mounts in there. Get them replaced. Do count the shims when you take the old shims out. And I'm talking about the shims between the body and the actual frame of the car. Make sure you count those in each one and put exactly the same when you reinstall. That way you don't have an off even body as you put it back down on the frame. Hey, I'll go to one of the first questions. This is from Max Brown, who is over in Korea, of all the places. He's working for our military forces as a civilian contractor, and Max asked this question: why did you start the video channel, and what do you hope the information does for people? Well, I would tell you, it actually all happened by accident. My first video, which was the timing of the 350 Chevy engine, that video happened because as I was looking at other videos, many videos, I was saying, why don't we just get to the point? You know, why don't we show all the tools necessary and just get straight to the point without all the talk and hype and all that kind of stuff. Is all I want to know is how to time a 350 Chevy engine. And why do I have to look at 5 or 6 videos to demonstrate and show exactly what I needed to do? So that's why I developed that video, and it just happened by accident. With that, I went into other videos, and that led to other things, and then here we are the second time live chat on this channel. So hey, I think it's fun. I find it extremely rewarding helping other people. Do I get anything out of it? Not really. I think I mentioned this last week. What I get out of it is helping other people. To me, that is extremely rewarding. When somebody says, hey, thank you for this, thank you for that. Now, my car wasn't running, but now it is. To me, that's extremely rewarding. That's my benefit. Hey, here's a question online. When you lift the body to replace the mounts, did you notice any rust in the bird cage? No. Let me see. Hey, if you would say, when you make your comments, please say your name or where you're from, or at least where you're from if you don't want to mention your name. That would be extremely helpful. You know, I did notice a little wear, and the car behind me is the 69 Corvette, and as far as I know, it's always been in Texas. So when I did lift the body up, and we're only talking a couple inches off the frame, most of it was dirt and grime. I did clean it all off, sand it, and put a wire wheel to a couple places just so it's perfectly clean when I set it back down. So I didn't have much rust. I would tell you in the birdcage area on the front by the window, when I did the windshield replacement, there was a little bit of rust around the frames and at the starting of the birdcage area, especially on the bottom area. And I guess the best way to describe that, if you don't know where that is It's to the driver's side left foot. That is more of the birdcage area for that body mount. Mine was pretty clean. Again, just cleaning it all out and painting it. And I mentioned the POR 15 paint last week that I used in all those areas. It went in extremely well. Cleanliness, the painting of it, I do use a wire brush often. I would tell you the whole area around the body mounts and where the body mounts to the frame, I was able to get up in there and clean all that to near perfect condition. I couldn't necessarily get to some of the backside areas of it, but I did do the best that I could. Hey, welcome C3D from Denmark. I know you were here last time. Thanks again for joining us again. Hey, keep those questions coming. Here's one from Steve Sweesout from Tampa, Florida. How about the one, he said this is a technical question. It says on the rear alignment video, how did you figure out how to reverse the rotors in order to get a foundation for a measurement on the frame? If you get a chance, go out there and look at that alignment video. In fact, I think it's probably the only rear wheel alignment video out there for the C3 Corvettes. You know, that was by accident how I discovered to reverse the rotors in order to get a measurement. As I was doing some research on alignments for the C3 Corvette, many of them said, hey, try to find the center of the Corvette in the back, the distance between the right wheel and left wheel of the rear, and then try to find that center, then mark that, and then look for the measurement of the frame, and I'm like, man, this is just way too confusing. So then I thought, well, let me jack it up, take the tires off, the wheels off, and then if I just reverse the rotor so that it extends past the body of the car, then all of a sudden I have a measurement that I can base it on. And then I took the string and put it on and mounted it to that rotor, and then just ran it along the line of the frame of the car, and of course the frame of the car is the other solid measurement. So if I took the edge of that rotor, lined it straight perfectly to the and in the video I mentioned the back door, the back of the door where you exit out of the vehicle, and then keep that line going straight down the body frame to the front of the door. If those measurements are the same along with the rotor, then all of a sudden you have a sound foundation so that when you put a shim in or take a shim out, then that string will move. So that was a basis on adding and aligning the rear wheels using the shims. And I would tell you that when I took it to the shop, as I mentioned earlier, it was near perfect. Just one shim off. And to me, hey, for those of us that like working on our cars, who like and enjoy working in our garage, who don't necessarily want to spend $200, $300, $400 for an alignment, and that will work for you, then my God, that's exactly what I used. Hey, okay, John gave his name in Denmark. Hey, John, thanks again for joining us. He says, here's a question from John from Denmark. He said, I know you adjusted the carb, but are you going EFI in the future? You know, I thought about that. I think if I did that, then I might be going too far out of the realm of, you know, the classic. But I know when the air breather's down on it, there are a lot of things you can't see when it's sitting down, and of course you're just looking for efficiency. I think I'm going to keep it the way it is right now. To me, that's a good running car. Of course, I learned from it. Plus, those are expensive. I think the last one I looked into, I mean, it was several $1,000s to change everything over. I'm sure there's probably a cheaper version to include fuel injection and all those kind of things. To me, that might be a way to go in the future. I don't know. You've probably seen LT1 engines actually put in these cars, and the whole 350 Chevy taken completely out, and you really don't see that until you lift the hood up, and that's what you have. So pretty cool stuff. The nice thing is technology is out there. By all means, use everything that you want to use to make your car run better and more efficient. Here's another one. He said, I used that method last week and it works great, but I used the rotor, so I just used it without removing the caliper. Oh, there you go. Yeah, as long as you can get it across, get that string line going straight across the frame, then yeah, you may not have to remove the motor. Good point. Very good point. It's a 1973 Corvette. What was the $1,195. Oh, okay, nice. Hey, with that, I'm going to show you how to use the Innovate 2. This is the gauge in which you can use your fuel air mixture. It's a nice gauge. A lot of people can adjust the fuel air mixture by sound. Others like to use the vacuum gauge. I actually use both, and I showed all three in one of the videos that I did. I'm going to show you how to hook this up, and I have it pre-hooked up already on the car. Oh, I see what the price is now as the open chat. That's the price for the fuel injection unit. Wow, that's actually pretty cheap. He says a Harley Sniper is $995. One person said $1,195. Yeah, that's pretty reasonable in my opinion. Any side effects from that y'all have noticed in the with the EFIs? Is it a lot to hook up? Is there wiring problems? Anything like that? Go ahead and open the. Hey, by the way, I encourage open chat between individuals on this too. If one of you have one of those answers, if somebody asks a question, then go ahead and chime in and include that in there. I'm going to quickly show you how to hook this Innovate 2 up. With that, I'll come back to the open chat if that works for y'all, or if you have questions as I hook this up. There will be a little bit of movement of the computer as I do this, especially with the camera. I'll try to show you everything, but remember, I'm just a one person doing this, so you may see a little movement and maybe some vibration as I start the car up. So let's go ahead and move toward that. I will take this meter with me, and we will just simply move over to the car here. Then I will reverse the camera. Fuel adjustment screws actually right here, and of course there's one on the other side here. Now, in order to do this and to get a correct reading on the gauge, the engine of course has to be warmed up. I already did that for you before we went live. These are the connections. This connection right here actually goes to the cigarette lighter for power, to power up the gauge. Let me show you something else, and that's this right here. Now this is the O2 sensor that goes into the exhaust. Now this is an accessory that you have to get with the gauge, but it allows you to hook it up in there, and then of course you just run the wire over the door if you're driving it. That way you can get a reading while you're driving. Now they say you need to have a reading while it's idle, about 35 miles an hour, and highway range. Of course today we're only going to do the one at idle. This is the gauge. I'm going to hook up the battery wire. Let me go ahead and move this around a little bit. Okay, we have battery power, and then I'm going to hook up the O2 sensor also, which is right there. And then I'm going to back this up just a little bit and show you that. We're going to start it up, and with that you'll start seeing a reading on that gauge. you know, if you got the full setup, that could cost you upward of $400 to get that full meter setup, and that's the drawback. And I think that's why a lot of people just prefer to use their you know, vacuum gauge or do it by sound and adjustment with the RPMs. That's why people do that, and I can't blame them. As I mentioned last week, there is a difference. I was probably 4 points off with what I did on the vacuum gauge and with sound compared to the meter. Of course, the meter is the most accurate. Let me go back here to some questions on the live chat, and give me a second here just to kind of read. Yeah, I agree with Scott there. The O2 gauge is a must, especially with the Edelbrock, to get it right. Like I said, I was way off, and I thought I was correct, and I could tell because I would set the car in the garage, and then I could smell the fuel. The wife would make the comment, of course, when she went in and out of the garage, and now I still get a little bit, but that's kind of common with this engine. Much better ride. I can actually spin wheels out and all that good stuff and have some fun with it. Definitely more fuel efficient, especially on the highway when doing those things. Hey, here's a question to you. What kind of video would you like to see in the future? One of the videos, of course, I talked about last week is I'm going to do the dash video. What would help you out there the most without getting too extensive, you know, with an hour or two video? One thing, you don't have time to watch a video that long. What are your recommendations out there? Comments. Yesterday I was out at the Alamo Corvette Club event for most of the day. It was an open day for a car show, mostly Corvettes. We had the Mustang clubs out there and some old classic. I think we had a 63 Corvette out there, a lot of C7s. A lot of C3s, probably 8 or 9 C3 Corvettes. And the whole purpose of it was to get toys for the needy for Christmas. And I thought that was absolutely amazing. People had a great time. In fact, there were 113 cars out there. So to Paul and all the members of the Alamo Corvette, hey, here's a shout out for you. A great job. Well done. Great job, Corvette people. And thank you so much for taking care of needy children all over the place. So that was a great thing to do. If you get a chance, join a Corvette club. They do great things like that. They help you with the knowledge of your Corvette or other Corvettes. It's just a great bunch of people who have the same common things that you like while improving the community. A lot of people think, hey, they just get together and drive around. No, they do a lot more than that. They help children, they help families, they help people in the community. So please get an opportunity to get out there. Join your local Corvette club. I'll try to get Paul from that Corvette club in here one time. He has a C7 Corvette. I know a lot of people would love to see that car, and we could talk to him about all the great things that Corvette clubs do for you and how you would benefit from being a member of the Corvette club. Okay, here's a question. If you see the channel, you can tell I don't. He says he doesn't paint at all. Says look up HEI install. It's an easy way to get it done, as with him. I had some difficulties with installing my HEI distributor, and that was just because it was a learning process for me and I wanted to get it right. One of the problems I have is when I turn it to a certain percent on top of the engine that it won't go any farther just because of the vacuum connection. That's a little bit of challenge. You can change the wire settings, how they set into the HEI, and that's okay as long as they're all in sequence. So that's a little bit of a challenge when you're doing that, but hey, that's cool. Other comment on the channel. You know, that may be a good video is actually the HEI install. Maybe I'll do that. I've seen a couple of them on there, but not necessarily one for the Corvette, so that might be a challenge. And it's not that difficult. You notice that mine does have the tach drive in there, Scott, which is a challenge when you order a HEI. You can order a basic HEI and they're one price, but make sure if you have the tachometer hooked up to it that you order the one with the HEI and tach. If you don't, you're not going to be able to get any readings on your tach meter. Thinking of that was also a portion of the challenge as I was turning, because if you turn it too far one way, then your tachometer cable will bind to where you're not really getting a reading, or it gets stuck all the time. So that might be another reason for switching your HEI wires around for your plugs. Other questions out there? Anybody else from Europe? Okay, hey, what I get out of this is I will do a video on the removal of the dash, and I'll do one on the HEI and talk a little bit about those things like the tach drive and the cable and the binding up of the vacuum connection. Probably do one on that. Any of the videos you think I should redo or make them even better? If there's one video that you liked, which one would that be? Scott said he liked the alignment video. You know, the alignment video was because it's so unique, especially on the the back of a C3 Corvette. That's probably why there's only one out there for the rear alignment. There are many out there for the front alignments, usually using the string concept. But I would tell you, unless you have the rear wheels right, even if you ran the string from the rear wheel to the front wheels, if the rear wheels are wrong, then the front wheels are going to be wrong. So that is key to the foundation of our wheel alignment. How do you like the channel? Comments. As far as what I do for the upkeep of the channel, it's not that much effort. I would say probably just, maybe just an hour or two a week. It's not a whole lot of upkeep. Feeding information out there. What I should probably do is, as I get information, especially with Corvette information, is just kind of post link out there for everybody to view or discuss. Even if it's just a matter of say, hey, look at this or look at that. That would probably be something that I could do during the week. Most of the time during the week, you don't see much activity on that channel unless it's, another video being posted or something like that. What do you think of live chat? Is it worth your time? If so, we'll continue to do it. I would tell you that live chat, we won't have one next week because next week's the Thanksgiving holiday here in the United States and everybody is off and on vacation and going places and stuff like that. So next week we won't have one. The following week, so in other words, 2 weeks from now, we'll go live again. I do repost these live chats. If you go on the channel, you will see last week's live chat. Here's a comment. Scott mentioned this. It smells gas on the 69. Has a vented gas cap. And actually I do. In fact, I got one of those cool chrome gas caps on the back with a key to lock because I don't want anybody siphoning my gas out of this car. It was definitely from the gas in the carburetor. There's no doubt about that. I would tell you when I had the Rochester carburetor on it, I think I have a video out there on the Rochester fuel adjustments too. I had an even stronger smell, and that was one of the reasons why I went to the Edelbrock. I went to the Edelbrock just because it was simple to maintain and parts were easy to get. I could pretty much go to the local AutoZone or O'Reilly store for parts for that carburetor, so for me that was easier. I still have my original Rochester. I keep most of my original parts so that whenever I sell the car or somebody else wants the car later on, they can actually match up those cars. I have the original transmission, the original differential in this car, but as mentioned like last week, I do not have the original 350 Chevy engine in this car. It is a year correct 350 Chevy engine. The bottom half, I replaced the top heads up on it. I have a stronger cam. I have a Pro Comp cam in this car, which was a job also. But pretty much the top end of this car was rebuilt right here in this garage, which was pretty cool. I do love the Q-Jet carburetor. Is basic. It's what it came with originally. It's what it was manufactured with. So that's for those of you that like keeping your car original. Here's to you, and a big cheer out to you. I understand that fully. Other questions? Hey, with that, just one more minute for any more discussion, and then we'll log off. Now, please let me know if there's other things you want me to discuss in the next live chat. Just send a message in the open discussion or a reply to one of the videos. Say, hey, you would like to see that or you would like to see this. Last week, speaking of other discussion, I did mention that I put the Hush Mat material, which is the equivalent, almost the same as a Dynamat material beneath the carpet to prevent some of this sound and heat from coming up from road running and the engine into the cockpit. I went online after we had that discussion last week and I looked for some photos, and I did take plenty of photos of what it looked like when I did that, and that was about the same time I did the wiring. So maybe I'll post those on the live chat next time and just pop a couple of them up for you to see what it entailed. I have 100% coverage under the carpet of this car, to include all the way to the back end and all the way to the firewall and behind the dash of Hush Mat to prevent heat and road sound from coming up into this car. That is good, especially as hot as it gets here, running the AC during the summertime, and even cool and warm air. Makes all the difference in the world. You don't have all that sound and stuff coming up. Makes the radio and the stereo system sound even better. Of course, that was the original intent when they first came out with that kind of stuff. But I'll show you a couple pictures of that. I'll make a note to myself and show you some of that kind of stuff. And I did not do a video on that, which maybe I should have. But man, that was long, extensive, and putting that stuff down takes a lot of work. A lot of people think you just lay it down, but you need to press down hard when you're putting that stuff in, because that's what activates the sticking material for the Hush Mat or Dynamat material, whatever you use. But well worth the money. It is expensive. Dynamat, I think was, I thought it was $300 for a box, and you needed at least 2 boxes to do the inside area if you wanted to cover 100% of the cockpit. If you only did the driver area, the passenger area, and along where your foot is, you could probably get by with just 1 box of that. But at least that's what I thought. It was expensive. Okay, hey, with that, we'll go ahead and get ready to close out here. Hey, best regards to everybody. Again, thank you for the live chat. Please send some questions. You know, questions help lead into other thoughts and things along people in our community. So if you can, think of those things. That way we can, you know, kind of stimulate some of the chat and the conversation next time. Think of those. With that, I'll go ahead and log on out of here. Hey, everybody, have a great time. Have a great Thanksgiving. I hope you get the best weather in the world. And hey, guess what else? Keep those cars on the road.